So we're walking to the shop. It's a Saturday morning. Time for a busy day of selling books. Let's go! Same guy. Books are arriving.
Yeah, baby. I was half expecting it to come on Tuesday anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I should take it back.
No.
Let it rip.
This is one of the books that we got about disability activism, architecture and disability. Fabulous.
We're so woke. Say it again.
I got 3 copies of this because it's selling so well, so I figured it could go on the table. And then I saw these and I figured it looked really cool and thought, let's get a few copies of that as well.
Yeah. Another successful day at Station Books.
Yeah.
It's been 2 months now.
Mm-hmm.
Give us your summary.
Summary. December was amazing. The people of Tunbridge Wells were incredibly encouraging and enthusiastic, and they still are. January has been slow, which is just a universal truth across retail in the United Kingdom. I knew that it would be, just from other business owners in Tunbridge Wells and from having worked in retail on and off for the best part of my career. That doesn't make it less scary when you're sat here and you haven't made a sale until 1 p.m. But fortunately, we did well enough in December that we were okay. We are now on the 25th of January, nearly in February, and hopefully that should mark the end of the very, very tough period, and things should start picking up as we start heading into spring. Fingers crossed, but who knows? This is a brand new adventure for us. We have no idea what the next few months are going to hold. All we can do is hope. Weekends are always great. We've launched our book clubs, 3 book clubs. We've launched story time on a Saturday morning for little ones. They've been really well received, so that's been great.
What have been the best sellers?
Orbital, which I don't know if we've got any copies of.
We ran out of copies of Orbital.
Yes. Orbital being the Booker Prize winner.
We do have another book by her, though.
Yes, by Samantha Harvey.
Okay.
Because we don't have any copies of Orbital, we'll show you her new book called The Western Wind, which is in a completely different genre. This is a historical fiction book set in 15th century Oakham in Somerset, in which a man is swept away in the early hours of Shrove Saturday, swept away by the river.
Sounds great.
Was it a murder or a suicide or an accident? Better read it and find out.
Yeah.
What else has sold well? Butter by Asuko Yazuki, which is a translated title. It's a Japanese bestseller based on a true story about a woman who poisoned her lovers, called the Konkatsu Killer. We couldn't keep it in stock. It was the Waterstones Book of the Year. It's been selling like hotcakes.
What's been selling well in fantasy and sci-fi?
Well, we haven't got any of them in stock. Would have been Assassin's Apprentice. This always sells well because it's one of my favourites. So it quite often turns up on our top 10 list for the week. despite having been released in 1995, because I won't shut up about it. Likewise, Joe Abercrombie, The Blade itself, is out of stock because it's been a busy Saturday and I won't shut up about it. So once again, we've sold loads of copies. Likewise, Empire of Silence is out of stock because it's the end of Saturday and we've sold all our copies. Maybe I should just order more copies of these books. What do you think? No? Yes? Answers in the comments. I mean, Station 11, Emily St. John Mandel always sells well. Blake Crouch always sells well. Adrian Tchaikovsky always sells well. Fonda Lee, Jade City. Obviously, Onyx Storm has done well. That came out on Tuesday this week. So, you know, romantasy is a whole thing. Always, the Sarah J. Maas, Court of Thorns and Roses series, and also her, I don't know what the series is called, Throne of Glass. That series always does well. Non-fiction, we've done a lot of political stuff lately. I think, you know, we're not a politics channel, we won't get that deep into it, but we are, you know, tofu eating wokarati. And we've currently have a presented without comment display in which we've highlighted some stuff on activism and surviving autocracy and, you know, queer frontiers and transgender issue, a history of trans misogyny. We've got Led by Donkeys and things like that. And then if we come down towards non-fiction, some stuff that's doing well at the moment, we've got Black History for Every Day of the Year, some history books that always don't do well. We've got Unruly, David Mitchell, that's sold incredibly well. An African History of Africa, that sells well too. Nexus, Yuval Noah Harari. The Bettany Hughes books, like Seven Wonders of the Ancient Worlds, and she's got some others as well. The names have just completely disappeared from my brain. And always Peter Frankopan, whether that's The Silk Roads or The Earth Transformed.
James O'Brien is always selling really well.
Yeah, Doppelganger, Naomi Klein.
We normally have The Wager, but that has sold out again. So
Yeah.
we have The Lost City of Z instead.
Yeah, which is also by David Gran. He's, you know, an author that just, you put something out and immediately it sells. It was, Istanbul was the other one by Bettany Hughes. It was literally right next to it.
And so how's it been affecting your reading?
I mean, I'm reading less of what I used to read for pleasure. I used to read loads of sci-fi fantasy, obviously. Now I'm being forced out of my comfort zone almost. I'm reading more literary stuff. So I'm reading some Maggie O'Farrell, The Marriage Portrait. I'm reading some cozy things. I just finished Letters from the Ginza Shihodo stationery shop, which I would never have picked up if it weren't for having the shop, and I really enjoyed it. I'm just about to start Crooked Plough, which looks incredible. I'm getting back into Hiromi Kawakami, who I've loved historically. I loved Strange Weather in Tokyo. And yeah, I'm getting back into genres that I haven't picked up recently. I've had my head so deep in science fiction fantasy that I kind of forgot almost that other genres existed. But it's been great for kind of breaking me back out of my hole. And it's also exposed me to loads of non-fiction that I've never really read non-fiction, but even just in the process of curating the range, going, oh my goodness, that looks absolutely fascinating. You know, Wintering, this is a bestseller that I didn't mention. This is probably in our top 5 sellers for over Christmas. We sold so many copies of this, like so many. Yeah, and it looks so wonderful. Wintering, a poignant and comforting meditation on the fallow periods of life. It's not something I would ever naturally have gravitated towards, but having the shop exposing me to these books that I wouldn't necessarily have picked up. Overall, overwhelmingly positive. It's scary still. I don't think it'll ever stop being scary, but we are now settling into a bit of more of a rhythm. People know that we're here, people are placing pre-orders with us, and yeah, it's going great. I'm enjoying myself enormously. When I've worked in like my corporate career, there would be days where I would get up and I'd sit on the edge of the bed and I would just go, oh my God, I can't believe I have to go and sit in that horrible office and talk to people that I hate about things that I don't care about. There are always amazing people at every workplace. But now, I wouldn't say I spring out of bed, you know, filled with the joys of spring. But, you know, every day I get to come to my shop and feel that sense of satisfaction that we've built this. We're building a community here. We've got our regulars, and I get to talk about books with awesome people all day. And it's just great. We've taken on a volunteer, a work experience volunteer called Molly, who's amazing. It's just been overwhelmingly a positive in my life. I think it's an overwhelming positive for Tunbridge Wells as well. It is still scary, as I say, but yeah, it's going well.
We closed.
We closed.
Better do the sign.
Oh yeah.
Now we close.
Now we close.